One thing we're not going to dive into in today's video is the potentially broken mechanic of songs themselves. But suffice to say, for the purposes of this video, playing cards for free is good. Welcome back, fellow Illumineers, to be our guest. In today's episode, we finally have a second video for our Learn How to Play Lorcana series. So, what are we going to talk about today? With the recent card reveals, I'd like to talk to you about the concept of formats in trading card games, and more specifically, how formats rotate, and how the power level of cards that you're seeing revealed in the first chapter of Lorcana should be judged not just on how they interact with this set, but how they're going to interact with future sets. If you're confused by the words that just came out of my mouth, you're in the right place. To help you understand what I'm talking about, let's take a look at the TCG that I've been playing for the last 25 years, Magic the Gathering. When a card game's been around for almost 30 years, the accessibility of older cards is really relevant to newer players. Likewise, as I mentioned before, and I'll go into more detail a little bit later, the power level of the older cards ends up being affected the more and more sets that we introduce and the more cards that are introduced with each set. To curb some of those effects, Magic introduced formats. Simply put, formats are limitations on the number of sets you can use your cards from to build your deck. The most popular format for Magic players, especially newer players, was Standard. For the longest time, for a player to build a Standard deck, they could only use cards from sets produced within the last 2 years. Now note, Magic has recently changed the timeline to sets within the last 3 years, but 2 years was the common format for the longest time. This allowed new players to reasonably get into the game, as older cards tended to be a lot more expensive to buy, and so they could affordably build a Standard deck where they might not be able to in an older format. While there are significantly more formats in Magic, including ones for multiplayer games, formats that include just common and uncommon cards, we're going to focus on the Standard format for the purposes of today's video. Regardless of whether cards are legal in Standard for 2 or 3 years, ultimately the existence of Standard means that cards rotate out, which means that they are no longer legal. They're outside of that 2 or 3 year window. Let's say, for example, Lorcana had a Standard format where cards were legal for 3 years. That would mean that in 2026, the cards you have from the first chapter would no longer be playable in that format. Naturally, the argument against sets rotating out for Standard is that you don't want the cards that you paid good money for no longer being playable in Standard. Presumably, we would have an older format, like Magic does. However, if you like to play Standard only, the cards you have will eventually and inevitably not be playable at some point. There are plenty of other arguments to be made for the creation of a Standard format. However, the entire purpose of this video, which we're only now getting to at the 5 or 6 minute mark, is to explain why the power level of cards requires the establishment of a Standard format equivalent. The card that spurred this whole conversation, that inspired me to make this video, is Ariel Spectacular Singer. A card that, on the surface, already looks pretty good when compared to Maleficent Sorceress, a card that until now has been the undisputed queen of value and my current favorite card of the set. Looks like she could be even better by the release of the first chapter. Right? Once we've got all the cards, there's a good chance that Ariel is even better than Maleficent Sorceress. Effectively, if enough good songs are available in Amber and at least one other supporting color, to include a critical mass for her to reliably draw off her musical debut ability, she will absolutely be better. She will absolutely be very good just within this first set. What I want you to consider is this is simply in the context of the first chapter. Presumably, every new set will get new songs. Now, obviously, not all songs are good, but we've already got 2 great songs in the form of Friends on the Other Side and Grab Your Sword. And with 118 of the cards only revealed so far, there's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 others. We've got plenty of good or solid songs to complement those, and we've still got plenty of cards left to reveal. Let's assume for a moment that we get 1 to 2 good to great songs per color per set. So, in building a 2-color song deck, let's say by the release of the first chapter that we've got reasonably 4 songs that we're happy to include in this 2-color deck. Based on the chart that you're going to see on the screen here, the probability of Ariel drawing a song off her second ability, if we've got 16 songs in our deck, is pretty high. The chance of drawing one is a little over 70%. And obviously, she's going to be able to sing most songs as well the following turn, assuming she survives. Get your smashes ready. One thing we're not going to dive into in today's video is the potentially broken mechanic of songs themselves. But suffice to say, for the purposes of this video, playing cards for free is good. Now I want you to fast forward 2 years. Based on Ravensburger announcing that they intend to release 4 sets per year, at this point we'll have 8 sets. Given a similar ratio of quality songs, we likely have 20 to 25 songs to choose from just for our 2-color deck. If even a quarter of those songs are high quality songs on the level of Friends on the Other Side or Grab Your Sword, we could easily build a deck where we would all but guarantee Ariel drawing a great song on turn 3 and likely being able to sing that song for free on turn 4. At this point, if you don't introduce a way to cycle cards out of available card pools, cards that get progressively better the more support they have access to, you risk the game degenerating into an unplayable mess. To conclude, I know that there are other cards that have the risk of being too good over time, but most of the cards you've seen revealed so far aren't inherently going to get much better over time. They're probably just already too good to begin with. It's cards like Ariel's Spectacular Singer that you have to watch for that will get better and better and better over time as more and more support cards, in this case more and more great songs, are revealed with each set. I hope this video helped you understand a little bit more about formats and set rotations, about the need for them, and for you degenerates like me, I hope it got you even more excited for just how good Ariel is going to be in time. That's all for now, folks. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to hearing your stories of broken song decks for years to come, just not too many years. Take care.
Thank you everyone for watching. It's truly an honor to see you enjoying our videos. Thank you to Lorcania.com for having us as one of their featured creators, and thank you to the amazing community coming together around this incredible game. Please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you'd like to see on our next video. Until next time, if you'd like to continue with us on this journey, please be our guest.